Psychological experiments, while revealing, often tread the fine line between enlightenment and manipulation. Venturing into the controlled chaos of the mind, they expose the fragile underpinnings of our behaviors and our emotions. These investigations at times unearth unsettling truths about human nature, and through their dark revelations, we confront the depths and shadows of our psyche. Now, welcome. This is the final part of the Psychological Experiments Iceberg. If you haven't checked out the rest of the videos, I'll leave the whole playlist up here. It's a long one. I'm also going to be trying to put together just one long entire video for it. So if you're interested, it's going to be a long one, but in case. Also, something new. This mirror, I'm not sure if you can even see it because I can't see it on here. But a lot of people before, because I had the big square one, they was thinking that I had like a giant hole in my wall or that was like into another room. My room's not that big because like, let's be serious. First off, you feel me? Like I'm not working with a lot of space. So I bought a new mirror. Stop the confusion. And now let's just get on into it. The experiments at Auschwitz. Nazi human experimentation was a series of medical experiments on prisoners by Nazi Germany in its concentration camps, mainly between 1942 and 1945. There was 15,754 documented victims, all of various nationalities and age groups, although the true number is supposed to be a lot higher, with basically only a quarter of documented victims killed. Basically, they're thinking that this number is a lot higher than this. Also, survivors generally experience severe permanent injuries forever, basically. At Auschwitz and other camps under the direction of Edward Wirths, selected inmates were subjected to various experiments that were designed to help German military personnel in combat situations, develop new weapons, aid in the recovery of military personnel who had been injured, and to advance the Nazi racial ideology and eugenics, mainly between these twin experiments that we're going to get to in a little bit. After the war, these crimes were tried at what became known as the doctors' trials, and revulsion at abuses perpetrated led to the development of the Nuremberg Code of Medical Ethics. The Nazi physicians in the doctor's trial argued that military necessity justified their experiments and compared to their victims' collateral damage from Allied bombings. Basically, they were trying to say that what they were doing wasn't that bad because basically the Allies were bombing them. So I don't know, weird way to justify it, especially when you're doing like some messed up shit that we're going to get to in a second. Like you're going to hear it and you're going to be like, dude, I don't know about all that. You're forcing it bad. So I'm only going to briefly go over a few of these experiments. The blood coagulation experiments. Sigmund Rascher experimented with the effects of polygol, which is a substance made from beet and apple pectin, which aided in blood clotting. He predicted that the preventative use of polygol tablets would reduce bleeding from gunshot wounds sustained during combat or surgery. Subjects were given a polygol tablet, shot through the neck or chest, and had their limbs amputated without anesthesia. Like, what the hell? He thinks that, okay, this will stop a gunshot. So, like, let's just cut off all this guy's limbs without giving him any type of painkiller, any anesthesia, anything. And we'll just see if this works. Bro, what the fuck? Like, Rascher published an article of his experiments using polygol without detailing the nature of the human trials and set up a company staffed by prisoners to manufacture the substance. Bruno Weber was the head of the hygienic institution at Block 10 in Auschwitz and injected his subjects with blood types that were different from their own. This caused the blood cells to congeal and the blood was studied. When the Nazis removed blood from somebody, they often entered a major artery, causing the subject to die of major blood loss. I'm sure most of these people died regardless, probably from blood poisoning or something like that, some type of disease that came from getting a different type of blood than your own. So yeah, both these two guys, evil, like crazy. First off, definitely mentally deranged, but for sure evil too. So we're going on to the next experiment. That was horrible, and they kind of just get worse, to be honest. Bone, muscle, and nerve transplantation experiments. From about September 1942 to December 1943, experiments were conducted at the Ravensbrück concentration camp for the benefit of the German armed forces to study bone, muscle, and nerve regeneration, and bone transplantation from one person to another. In these experiments, subjects had their bones, muscles, and nerves removed without any anesthesia. As a result of these operations, many of these people basically suffered agony and permanent disabilities, if not death. Yeah, that's just messed up, bro. Like I said, last guy was just cutting off limbs. These people are specifically going in and cutting off your muscles and your nerves and ripping out your bones while you're still awake. Like, this is some horror movie stuff. Worse than that. On August 12, 1946, a survivor named Jadwiga Kaminska gave a deposition about her time at Ravensbrück concentration camp, describing how she was operated on twice.
Is at first marked atrophy of the right leg, including including thigh, leg, and foot. You can compare here the two legs, and you notice the marked atrophy in the thinnest of this bone, the leg compared to the other. So bluish discoloration, indicating interference with circulation of the leg.
Both operations involved one of her legs, and although she never described herself as having any knowledge as to what exactly the procedure was, she explained that both times she was in extreme pain and developed a fever post-surgery, but was given little to no aftercare. Kaminska described being told that she had been operated on simply because she was a young girl and a Polish patriot. She described how her leg oozed pus for months after the operations ended too. Prisoners were also experimented on by having their bone marrow injected with bacteria to study the effectiveness of new drugs being developed for the use in the battlefields. Those who survived remained permanently disfigured forever, obviously. And yeah, that is just horrible. Jadwiga went through that twice, like, not once. They grabbed her twice and said, yo, we're working on your legs. And I'm glad she survived. I bet the smile on her face when the Germans lost the war was something crazy. You feel me? Up next, probably the most infamous experiment, the experiments on twins. Headed by Joseph Mengele from 1943 to 1944, twin experiments were one particular interest, as one twin could serve as the subject and the other could serve as the control. This research also hoped to gain insight into how Germans could actually reproduce more twins. The experiments included amputating healthy limbs, deliberately infecting them with diseases such as typhus, blood transfusions from one twin to the other, and sewing twins together to create conjoined twins. Ava Moses Kaur, a survivor, also claimed that Mengele cross-transfused the bloods of opposite-sex twins to change their respective sexes, experimenting on twins' genitals and attempting to attach the urinary tract of a 7-year-old girl to her own colon.
I don't really know exactly. I have some idea, because I have met with many of the twins, that there were different experiments. Not all the experiments were the same. But we were used in experiment 6 days a week. Part of it was physical study of twins naked, measurements, comparisons, to see how we were alike, how we were different, and how close we were to the Aryan race.
Most twins died during these procedures, and if one survived, they would be killed and dissected for comparative post-mortem reports. However, some were killed without experimental purpose, with 14 twins having their hearts injected with chloroform in one single night. Out of the 1,500 twins subjected to these experiments, only 200 of them actually survived. Now, there are also a bunch more experiments done during this time, including freezing experiments, high altitude experiments, seawater experiments, sterilization and fertility experiments, formaldehyde experiments, and experiments on homosexuals. And basically, they had these malaria experiments where they actually would have these healthy inmates put their hands and arms into these cages filled with malaria-carrying mosquitoes. And upon contracting the disease, they were treated with synthetic drugs at doses ranging from high doses to lethal doses. That is basically all the experiments that were going on in Nazi Germany. Like I said, I didn't break down all of them because I just rattled off like another 7 right at the end. That would be a whole nother video in itself. But yeah, these people were fucking evil, bro. Glad they're gone, cuz I mean, hey, you know how it today is, so maybe they're not all gone. But anyways, moving on to the next one. Project QKHILLTOP. In 1954, the CIA developed an experiment called Project QKHILLTOP to study Chinese brainwashing techniques, which they were used for developing new methods of interrogation. Leading the research was Dr. Harold Wolff of Cornell Medical University. After requesting that the CIA provide him with information on imprisonment, deprivation, humiliation, torture, brainwashing, hypnosis, and more, Wolff's research team began to formulate a plan through which they would develop secret drugs and various brain-damaging procedures according to a letter that he wrote in order to fully test the effects of the harmful research. Wolff expected the CIA to make available suitable subjects. Most of the early studies are believed to have been performed by the Cornell University Medical School's Human Ecology Study programs under the direction of Dr. Harold Wolff himself. Wolf's requests that the CIA provide him with any information they could find regarding threats, coercion, imprisonment, deprivation, humiliation, torture, brainwashing, black psychiatry, hypnosis, or any combination of these with or without chemical agents. According to Wolf, the research team would then assemble, colgate, analyze, and assimilate this information and will then undertake experimental investigations designed to develop new techniques of offensive and defensive intelligence use. Potentially useful secret drugs and various brain-damaging procedures will be similarly tested in order to ascertain the fundamental effect on human brain function and upon the subject's mood. Where any of the studies involve a potential harm of the subject, we expect the agency to make available suitable subjects in a proper place for the performance of the necessary experiments. If you don't know what that just said, he basically is saying like, yo, I need some people that if this goes horribly bad, we're not going to get in trouble for fucking these people over or maybe even causing their death or permanent injuries or anything. Like, they wanted some people like that they could test on. People that the CIA wouldn't even care if they did anything to. Alright, so for the brainwashing techniques, there's a couple steps. Up first is assault the identity. You are not who you think you are. Systematic attacks on somebody's sense of self. You are not a person. You are not a man. Under constant attacks for days, weeks, or even months. Up next is guilt. Making a person feel bad, attacking constantly of sin. Example, you're an evil person. Number 3 is self-betrayal, agreeing that you are bad or not good. Once in guilt, an agent forces them through physical or mental harm, basically having them think that their family is doing bad and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, just reassuring them, like, you are trash, you are nothing, you are not a man, you are bad, like constantly breaking these people down emotionally and physically. The next step is breaking point. The questions of, am I really me? Where am I? Who am I? Undergo emotional breakdown. At this point, the agent makes or tries to convert them to another belief system that will save him. His sense of self is up to the agent. They don't know anything about themselves, basically. That's kind of the point that they're trying to get these people to, you know what I mean? Basically break them down. And that's basically what most of that was that they were just trying to use these weird techniques. I couldn't find too much information on some of the other experiments for them. Anyways, these guys were kind of messed up, just picking up random people, trying to get the CIA involved to kind of help feed them patients, maybe. Victims is what I would call them. That would be suitable for these experiments. And yeah. The Aversion Project was a medical torture program in South Africa led by Dr. Aubrey Levin during apartheid. Now, apartheid being a policy or system of segregation or discrimination on grounds of race, mainly known for in South Africa. The project identified gay soldiers and conscripts who used drugs in the South African Defense Forces, or SADF. Victims were forced to submit to curing their homosexuality because the SADF considered homosexuality to be subversive, and those who were homosexual were actually subject to punishment. Under apartheid, there was a dual policy on the homosexuality in the South African military. Permanent members of the military were prohibited from being homosexual, while it was allowed for conscripts. Officials believed that completely banning homosexuality from the military would give a specific group of individuals, young white South African men, a convenient way to avoid serving in the military. That's kind of hilarious that they just assume like, oh, these young white guys in South Africa, if we say that they're gay and they can't join the military, they're just all gonna do it. Like, what the fuck? However, with the supposed toleration of homosexuality came forced therapy, such as compulsive shock therapy, castration, and other forms of therapy, which were said to significantly violate basic human rights. Between 1971 and 1989, victims were subjected to chemical castration and electrical shock treatment to basically try to cure their homosexuality. This was a trend at the time supported by a psychiatrist who believed homosexuals were mentally ill. Claims stated in the American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Like I said, that was at the time. We've moved way past that at this point, especially back then, bro. Way more people were just bigoted and fucking stupid. Now, conscripts with this proclaimed mental illness were treated differently than other members of the military. They were not given military leadership positions, and they were not entrusted with any sensitive information or anything like that. Now, the Aversion Research Project itself was basically formed by a team of academic researchers and activists who came together in order to obtain more information about the treatment of homosexual military personnel during the apartheid era. This was a research project based on qualitative methodology further examining why homosexuality was considered to be unusual behavior at the time. Homosexual individuals who were targeted from the conversion therapy, along with their families and friends, were interviewed in order to obtain in-depth first-hand experiences of these directly impacted people. Prior to the project, the researchers had been approved by a research committee. The research committee, however, took an issue with the use of the word abuse as a way of describing what happened to the homosexual military personnel. Which, I don't know, bro, you're chemically castrating these people. What do you call it? You feel me? Like, if not abuse, like, I don't know, like, I don't know what goes through these people's minds, bro. Additionally, the Research Ethics Committee did not agree with the researchers' designation of the actions of psychologists initiating this conversion shock therapy was a human right violation. This raised concerns about the research project, as the committee clearly did not want this to be a part of any investigation into the practices of medical officials being involved in the military. Furthermore, the committee questioned the sampling methods of the researchers themselves, because the committee found that the sampling method was used not as a representative of the experience as a whole. Aubrey Levin was the leader of the project against homosexual military personnel. He argued that the same type of procedures could cure other groups. These included drug addicts and the disturbed, those who did not want to serve in the apartheid military, was what he was considering disturbed. He started the project and then ran Ward 22 at one military hospital in Voortrekkehove, which was there where the majority of the patients were treated. He was one of 24 other doctors that were named with warning by the Truth Reconciliation Commission in South Africa that was what they were doing was a violation of human rights and that they risked being labeled as perpetrators of human rights abuses. Levin claimed that all the patients were volunteers. Since then, Levin has been accused of several more instances of medical foul practice targeting many other men, not only those who identified as homosexuals. Basically, he was going after everybody. He was sentenced to a 5-year prison term on April 23rd in 2014. After it became noticeable that conversion therapy was failing, staff came up with an alternative. As a result, patients who had failed the initial treatments were subjected to a sex change. This included being put through surgery and being given a brand new identity. Patients would then be discharged from the military and advised to cut themselves off from family and friends, basically start a whole new life. As many as 900 of the people, mostly 16 to 24-year-olds, were subjected to medical procedures where they cut off their genitals, changed their birth certificate, and everything. This surgery was done in military hospitals, and a high rate of the patients died during the surgeries. Additionally, the reassignments were often left incomplete, leaving patients with halfway finished procedures. After being discharged, there was no follow-up appointments to complete the surgeries or check the patient's mental or physical health. Obviously, it doesn't really seem like they cared. And without adequate medical preparation, significant personnel change, patients faced depression, and a lot of them ended up committing suicide. In 1995, the South African Medical Association issued an apology for all their wrongdoings. Which, to me, bro, what the fuck you mean you're sorry now, cuz? Are you serious? Plus, the dude only got like 5 years in jail? Bro, are you kidding me? Bro, there's still people in the United States who serving more time for weed, bro. Like, that is insane to me, cuz what the... Bro, should just cut his shit off, cuz, you feel me? Hey, taste your own medicine, you feel... Like, I don't know how else to put it, bro. Like, that is crazy to me. Anyways, moving on to the next one, cuz that guy got off way too late and kind of pissed me off, to be real with you. So, we're going on to the last one for this entire iceberg. Project Artichoke was a project developed and enacted by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, for the purpose of researching methods of interrogation. Initially known as Project Bluebird, Project Artichoke officially arose on August 20th, 1951, and was basically headed by the CIA's Science Intelligence Office. The primary goal of Project Artichoke was to determine whether a person could be involuntarily made to perform an act of attempted assassination. The project also studied the effects of hypnosis, forced addiction to, and subsequent withdrawals from morphine and other chemicals, including LSD, to produce amnesia and other vulnerable states in subjects. Project Artichoke was succeeded by Project MKUltra, which began in 1953. Project Artichoke was a mind control program that gathered information together with the intelligence divisions of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and the FBI. In addition, the scope of the project was outlined in a memo dated January 5, 1952, asking, can we get control of an individual to the point where he would do our bidding against his will, and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation? Basically, these people were trying to get to the point where they could literally control somebody no matter what, make you do things that you never would do, make you forget about it, obviously wipe your mind, like some real like Men in Black, like where they have that thing, the whole white, and they forget everything. Like they were trying to get to that point. the attempted assassinations. I don't want to say anything, but maybe John F. Kennedy. I don't know, man. I still don't really believe that one. Wendigoon's video kind of convinced me that shit is all a lie and that the CIA did it, so I would not put this shit past them. Just know CIA, sketchy. Sketchy as fuck. FBI, less so, but CIA, bro, I'm not fucking with them at all, cuz please don't put me on no watch list, bro. I just chill, you know what I mean? I chill, I make some videos, bro, that's it. Project Artichoke was the Central Intelligence Agency's secret code name for carrying out in-house and overseas experiments using LSD, hypnosis, and total isolation as forms of psychological harassment for specific interrogations on human subjects. At first, agents used cocaine, marijuana, heroin, peyote, a bunch of different drugs basically, but LSD was the most promising one. The subjects who left this project were fogged with amnesia, resulting in faulty and vague memories of the whole experience. In 1952, LSD was increasingly given to unknowing CIA agents to determine the drug's effects on unsuspecting people. One record states that an agent was basically kept up on acid for like 77 days, bro. I've never taken acid in my life. I have taken mushrooms, keep that low key, but bro, 77 days, cuz like, yo, 8 hours is long enough, you feel me? Like 8 hours, if you know, you know. 8 hours is plenty of fucking time, bro. I don't need 77 days. I don't even need 2 days, bro. That's too much. My brain would be gone, you feel me? I would be a straight up zombie. Artichoke also researched the potential of dengue fever and other diseases. A declassified Artichoke memo read, "Not all viruses have to be lethal. The objective includes those that act as short-term and long-term incapacitating agents." The CIA disputed whether the department would take over the operation. Finally, it was decided that an agent from the CIA research staff, former U.S. Army Brigadier General Paul Gaynor, would oversee it. The CIA sought to establish control over what it perceived as the weaker and less intelligent segments of society, or for the potential of agents, directors, refugees, or prisoners of wars, or others. The CIA report states that if hypnosis succeeded, assassinations could be created to assassinate a prominent politician or, if necessary, an American official. The overseas operations took place in locations throughout Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia, and the Philippines. Teams were assembled to manage these operations, and they were told to conduct at overseas bases operational experiments utilizing aliens as subjects. Basically, anybody that's not from America, even people from America, they're using it on their own CIA agents, just testing, seeing what the fuck it would do. Like, this is literally some American dad shit, bro. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, that's basically Project Artichoke. They were trying to basically figure out how they could hypnotize people or mind control people into being able to assassinate maybe other countries' prominent politicians, or even our own JFK. I'm gonna say it again, I don't know. Anyways, that was basically all I had for the entire iceberg, bro. That was it. It's been a long ride. I don't know how many months. It's got to be at least 6-7 months I've been making these videos inconsistently at that, I'll give you that. But anyways, like I said, long video, entire full version coming soon. At some point that'll be out, not sure when, but until then, make sure you check out the other episodes. Let me know down below in the comments what you think was the most messed up experiment in the entire iceberg. If you have any other ideas of stuff that you want me to talk about or look into, let me know down below. Other than that, stay safe, get laid. Hold on, it's almost Christmas time. I have a website if you didn't know. My clothing brand, I don't know if you can really see it. I make a bunch of shit. I'll try to put the link somewhere up here. It's previewworldwide.com. Yeah, type in the code XMIS. It's an extra 20% off of a bunch of stuff that I already got on sale. Let me know. I might even make one for the YouTube just to see, but anyways, just use XMIS23. That's it. Love y'all. I'll be sending out some free gifts inside those too because it's Christmas time. And yeah, I'll see y'all soon. Deuces, stay safe.